into the center. Hello, man. Oh, do I? Yes, I have a. Oh my lord! Look what they gave me. They gave me a mic monitor so I can see my mic, and I've been complaining about that for forever now. And with the go live thing now they put a mic monitor, and that's great. That's great. So I can actually see if my mic's working and everything. Hello, financial freedom and everything. Hello. I'm just jabbering a little bit until people come in. I don't hate to start it. I don't want to make this a long one, and I don't want to make. I usually do an hour, and that's about it. Hey, 2 days in a row. I mean, come on. I'm on a roll now. So I get a lot of feedback. I get a lot of kickback, and I get a lot of Mgtow hate when I say Mgtow's. When I hear the guys say Mgtow's not a group, it's not an organization, it's simply a philosophy, and I go, well, what kind of philosophy? And we talked about that yesterday. I get a lot of kickback from that. It's not a group. It's not a movement, and it is a group. It is a movement. It is a philosophy. It is an organization. It's a lot of things. I went over this in a video. Earlier. Mgtow's a lot of things. Mgtow is pretty much what we want it to be, and under the heading of group or organization, yes, we are. We fall under every criteria of that, and there's an important concept that goes into this, and what I wanted to explain today is something that's going to piss everybody off in the self-actualization group. The self-actualization group is the group pushing, not an organization, individualistic attitudes, individualism, and like I said back in a video years ago, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago. There's a difference between individualism, Jung's individualism, and Jung's an individualistic. When we go individualistic, we go into the narcissistic stages of the king, the tyrant, Machiavellianism, and that all goes down the line with self-actualization and Maslow's hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy is the one they use for self-actualization, but that's a small bit of a theory, and it's easy to get lost in that as a tool in Mgtow. But what that theory was about, and it coincides with Jung's theory of the unconscious. I don't want to go into Jung's theory on the unconscious. Go back a couple hundred videos, and I explained Jung's theory of the unconscious. What Maslow's hierarchy does in self-actualization, it pits the unconscious against the conscious, and what Maslow's hierarchy is in self-actualization is it's a motivational theory. It's defining a motivational theory as a task in discovering drives within individuals to work together on goals and outcomes, like businesses, and motivational theories like like production and resources and gaining resources. Most motivational theories are pointed at the individual within a group therapy. What Maslow's hierarchy was developed for was a group therapy program for people that were willing to take part in these activities because they were unmotivated by life. And we can see this in Mgtow, that a lot of guys are unmotivated when they come in here and they're young and everything, but never get fooled by these things. Mgtow's a great program. Mgtow's a great program which you can learn from, and you can discover yourself in Mgtow, and that's being individual. Self-discovery, find your individual self, learn who you are, be what you are. I am what I am, and I'm very individual. I know that there's not a lot of people like me on this world and everything, and that's great, and that's where individualism is great. Now, when you become individualistic, it goes into Maslow's hierarchy is a mono-motivational theory that reduces the aspects of the drive in individuals to act on terms. These terms fall under the terms of evolutionary psychology and economics, and it motivates people to drive for better economics and better better evolutionary psychology aspects of the consciousness. It's a motivational drive into the conscious, out of the unconscious into the conscious. But there's a second part of this thing which people don't talk about. In the same way, what it does, what this Maslow's hierarchy does, is it gives men a false sense of this individual, and that can go, like I said, into narcissism, and it can go into individualistic attitudes. It can give you the like you're the king, everything, you're impervious to anything. And it's the unconscious factors inside of these things is what Jung talks about. There's two things, and it's a trick, it's a trap. It's one of those traps in life that we talk about with men. They're cueing you down. They're cueing you down these things, and they cue men down for one thing, so they can motivate men to think about work, to think about working harder in society, the desire to work. And the last thing is with Maslow's hierarchy is it brings on a sense of duty to family and other unconscious and conscious factors. That's what it was designed to do. That's what Jung will tell you to do. So instead of going to one opposite way, it can become Machiavellianism in certain traits. And then if it goes the way that they plan it to go, Maslow's hierarchy of needs was designed to make you start thinking about the subconscious other, and start thinking about family needs and conscious others. People bring these things to Mgtow for a reason. We got psychologists that hang around these places. We got like Dr. Grande. We got psychologists. We got motivational theory people, and those motivational salesmen that want to sell you the next snake oil that comes down the road. And Maslow's hierarchy was designed by it was designed by Maslow and Jung and those guys to trick. In this day and age, it would be to trick lazy millennials off the couch from playing video games and get them out working and get them interested in women so they could get married and get the F out of their mom and dad's house. That's the way these things work. In Mgtow, we have a lot of things. There's a lot of things that happen in Mgtow, and we get a lot of enemies. Years ago, me and Messenger, we looked at this. We looked at the Maslow's hierarchy. We looked at Jung's social unconscious and inner unconscious and those things. And this thing started coming into Mgtow. This self-motivational help guide and stuff like that. I'm helping men and everything. And what we've seen is these things were designed to take you back into the blue pill world. They're designed to make you think about blue pill things. They're designed to make you think about evolutionary stuff like women. Men don't really do that. Mgtow men don't really do that. Mgtow men are not thinking about it. Like I said, it's a mono-motivational theory that reduces the aspects of drives and the individuals, breaks them down, and then it rebuilds aspects and drives into a formulation where they think they're king. Now, all you guys that have been married out there and all you guys that have been in that blue pill world, man, you're go-getters and you have this drive and everything, and you go and you at a certain point you're comfortable with everything, so you get married. That's the trap. You get comfortable with everything in your life. Things get a little more. You find a woman, you get married, and then you think you're the king. You're on top. That's what this motivational theory is for. It's for these guys that can't get their, lazy asses off the couch and everything. It's self-actualization. It leads into self-actualization, and it does do that. You might find a better job. You might be motivated by, but in Mgtow, who wants to work? I mean, your goal is to work as little as you can possibly work, because work in itself is who can be the best slave for the government. And then they want you to get motivated to get the best job you can. So when you get that divorce, they got the slave. That's what they want. Now there's dangers in these kind of theories when you start sending men down these theories of self-actualization and Maslow's theory of hierarchy without knowing the other end of Jung's theory of the unconscious other. And how they hook it together, what Maslow's theory really is just motivational talks to make you feel better about yourself. Now, Mgtows really don't need motivational talks, but over the years, we've seen a lot of these life coaches come in, and all these life coaches got a scam. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs was developed as a scam to help people with cognitive dissident behaviors, people that were not motivated to get off the couch, young men, and it was designed at what they would call the Don Juans of the era. When Maslow and Jung and those guys, they had this big problem with Don Juans. And Don Juans are PUAs now, and Don Juans are even Mgtows now. They don't want to do all that traditional stuff. So it cues you down a traditional alley. And when I talk about the cueing process up to marriage, there's a cueing process up to marriage. How they do it, it's a traditional process that leads you up to a place where you're comfortable enough to get married, and then you're comfortable enough to believe that that's going to work, and then boom, they pull the rug out from under you, and we got 86% divorce rate in this country, and they got their slave. Now, like I said yesterday, 20 to 30% of all societies are slaves. Every society ever been. And that's not going to change. You don't want to be in that category. You don't want to be tricked in some of these traps that fall down to you becoming a slave. Now, when I say Mgtow is a group, it's an organization, what happens with Maslow's theory of self-actualization, instead of going down the family line, you take Mgtow as your family. You're working for a higher purpose. And if you need a God, Mgtow can be your God and can be your higher purpose in life if you think about it the correct way. If you're one of those those individualistic people that I see so much of, you're going to flame out on Mgtow. You're going to go Mgtow on Mgtow. You're the king. You're the shit. And then pretty soon you're going to end up like all those PUAs over there, which Rollo Tomasi led them down that road, and they're all freaking married now and miserable. And that's what we don't want. It's another trap. Psychologists during that era of Maslow's hierarchy were worried about getting men off the couch. There was this new burgeoning bachelor class that was coming around at that time, and it scared the hell out of the traditionalists. So what they came out was these motivational self-actualization courses that could get men to get back into the workplace, get men to start thinking about the marriage process, get men to think about women. And that's Maslow's hierarchy, along with Jung and the unconscious other inside of you. There's always an unconscious side of you. I call them the unconscious other. And that's the dangerous part about you and Mgtow. And this is why we do Mgtow. We take that deep look. We take that deep look inside of ourselves all the time, and we search for those little creepy little things within ourselves that I might want to someday go get married and go into crazy land and go do that. Now, self-actualization in Maslow's hierarchy is designed just for that purpose, and we've seen this whole disastrous thing with Rollo Tomasi. He went into PUA, and all those guys were the go-getters. Woo! They were the enthusiastic salesmen of Mgtow, telling you that they're just going to go hit it and quit it. And he sold them the same kind of snake oil. It was a cognitive dissonance therapy program that made you more comfortable in small steps with thinking that, okay, dating's okay. Okay, now I have a long-term girlfriend. That's how these queuing process works. I have a long-term girlfriend now, long-term relationship, LTRs. You hear these people every time. Every time I look at this kind of situation, I know exactly where it's going to go because I've been around long enough, because I've seen it a million times, and we discussed this 100 times. We've discussed this 100 times. like I said, Dr. Grande and all those guys that come around and they want to push this self-actualization thing is just a motivational theory. It's just a cognitive therapy program. I know cognitive therapy programs. I major in cognitive therapy programs. AA is a cognitive therapy program. Marijuana Anonymous is a cognitive course. CA for Cocaine Anonymous is a cognitive therapy program. And what they're saying to you as a Mgtow is there's something wrong with you. They believe there's something wrong with you because you're Mgtow, so you must need a cognitive therapy program. Now, they'll start pushing some things that sound pretty snappy. But they're just snake oil, like all the other snake oil that you've been pushed in your life. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, along with Jung's program, is just more snake oil to get you working, to get you comfortable with marriage, and then get you married off. Well, what comes after that and natural progression of that is getting a divorce and then putting your ass into slavery. Now, I know when I talk about Mgtow as a group, as an organization, there's one thing that's strong enough to bind men, and that's to be around a group and an organization of men like we used to have, like those places we used to meet in the bars, and we have scotch and we smoke cigars, and we'd talk about man shit, and then we get man shit done. And those places are non-existent anymore. Feminism killed all those places. So Mgtow became a group where you can hang around with a bunch of guys just like yourself that think that are bachelors, just like yourself, and think that just like this. But one thing for sure, and two for certain, the government and those psychological people have some plans for you to get you back into the blue pill world. They need you breeding. They need you to have little babies. They need you to take care of the women's. They need you as protector and provider. So they devise creepy little ways to invade Mgtow. It's called entryism. And they get into Mgtow and they start talking, and then some of these guys actually believe it. We had that with the Spanish guy. He was the big pusher of self-actualization. Now, you can do that process as long as you take Mgtow as your and the men, the group and the organization of men, as your supposed God. Camus would call it, that's your new God. And then that motivates you to be the best person you want. But to tell you, self-actualization in that program, when it hits the unconscious other inside of your brain, you start thinking you're comfortable with little things. I'm going to date. I'm going to slay the girls. I'm everything they want. You're the king. Now, we were all the king at one time when we were married. I was the king at one time. I was a go-getter. But that shit is part of the trap. And when the king falls, he falls a long, long way. Get a divorce and you'll find that out. And that's what Maslow's hierarchy and self-actualization was designed to do, get you back into the traditional. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. We have to be conscious in Mgtow of the entryist. We have to be conscious of Mgtow and what kind of philosophy we're slinging around out there. And we have to know our philosophy. And that's why I do this. Know your philosophy. Philosophy and psychology go hand in hand. Psychology was born of philosophy. It's tricky sometimes. And in PsyOps, they use psychology all the time. It's just philosophy. They know how people work. They know how people, and your government wants you back in the blue pill world. They want you working hard. They don't want you traveling around the world. They don't want you doing your own thing. They don't want you climbing mountains. They don't want you out wasting time. They want you at work, putting the square cogs inside the square holes. Boom, boom, hit the press. Boom, boom, hit the press. Make a product. That's what they got in mind for you. Run around all day trying to sell shit from China. That's what they have on their mind for you. Because every time you sell that shit from China, they make a tariff and they make taxes on that shit. And that's what runs our country. And it runs our country on the backs of men like me and you. Mgtow is not that program. Now, it pisses me off when guys come in here and they start shooting off shit like that, and they end up damaging other Mgtows. These Mgtows are going to run around, and first thing you'll know that happens as soon as they get to be that working guy that's making, he's making close to six figures. He's telling you he's making off to six figures, and then all of a sudden he starts thinking he has a safe zone, a safety spot in life, and nothing can touch you. You're the king. Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of things out there that can touch you. And that's what they set you up for. Them are the traps in life. Them are the marriage traps. There's a lot of different kinds of traps in life other than the marriage trap in Mgtow that we talk about. And that's one of them. So it's purposeful. Mgtow as a group, an organization of men that band together as brothers is a purposeful thing. It gives you another thing to look at besides the family unit, besides what the government wants of you. It's a different organization. We are an organization, we are a group. And they purposely try to destroy this group because they know it replaces the church. You can have the Church of Mgtow. That's why I do this. There's all a lot of therapy in this. Mgtow replaces the church. It puts you on solid ground. It makes you think about self. It makes you think about winning. It makes you think about being that individual guy that's unique in this world. That's a great guy to be around without having something attached to your hip called a woman. Now, however else you do your Mgtow, always be conscious. Always be conscious that society hates Mgtow. They hated the Don Juan. They hated the bachelors of the 50s. They hated, they hate men like us. They hate us. And they want us to go back into the blue pill world. They want us to have that picket fence, that family, take care of the girl so they don't have to. They don't have to take care of those children. They don't have to. You're going to be the slave that's going to do that. You're going to be the protector and provider that does that. And let me tell you, that's over 70, 80, 90 million people in my country alone. So that's a big burden on their back. So Mgtow threatens that. It puts Mgtow, an organization, a group that band together as men, like every other cognitive therapy program. It's there and designed for you men so you don't fall down some of these other traps. And it is there is no trap in Mgtow. It's you, yourself, travel around the world, stack your coins, whatever you want to do. If you don't want to have to work anymore, that's what that's what your goal is, then that's great. But self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy, Jung's unconscious, all that's bullshit, all that's snake oil. And it's snake oil to get you to start thinking back in blue pill terms. Get you back in the matrix, get you working hard, get you comfortable so they can set you up for them real traps in life that are really going to harm you and leave you flat busted, broke in a one-room apartment thinking about for the rest of your life, how did that happen? No, been there. I got married. So Mgtow is when you hear these guys say Mgtow is not a group and organization, what possible means to an end could they be saying this for? Have they thought this out? Have they thought about it? Have they thought about what they're saying? I don't think so. There's repeating some clown that sounded good to them. And that clown was probably using Maslow's hierarchy, self-actualization, and all that go-getter shit, which is just like an enthusiastic salesman trying to sell you metaphysical bullshit. It's all metaphysical bullshit designed to get you back into society. And God, I just hate those motivational speakers. Most of the time they come off as ignorant and absurd to me. And we don't need another motivational program to run all you guys back into the blue pill world. But that's exactly what it is. And it pisses me off when I see it. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming around today. And I know this is a hard package of Mgtow to understand. But I'm not saying I'm going to be the most popular guy in the world. All those clowns that are going to end up out of Mgtow in a few years going Mgtow and Mgtow, oh, they're the motivational guys that believe everything they hear. They want to be the strong salesman to sell you something. And all they're selling you is snake oil. And there's a lot of snake oil around here. Maslow's hierarchy and self-actualization is snake oil. These people start with saying you're not a group. You're this go-getter individual. You're better than the universe. You're the king. There's a whole world that wants to knock you off of that king's throne. And they want to take everything you got. And that's what they're setting you up for. And there's the trap. And it all leads down that blue pill traditional world into that blue pill traditional bullshit that we all know is horrible for men. Be individual. Be a unique individual. Uniqueness and individuality is synonymous when it individualistic is synonymous with narcissistic. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. And that's pretty much all I got to say. I wanted to come in and I just, all this garbage. Next time you hear someone say Mgtow is not a group, not an organization, it's not a movement, ask them, what's the theory behind that? Do you have a theory behind that? Or are you just mimicking some bullshit you heard from some super salesman that was selling snake oil? And that's what they're going to get. And they're doing that purposely. Because they don't like this thing. They don't like Mgtows. They never did. The Don Juans, the Bachelors. They want that to end. And it starts with little itty bitty steps like that to lead you down a way that you don't want to go. But it's easy to fall into those traps. So that's all I got to say. And if anybody wants to argue this out with me, it's pretty funny that none of them want to come around and actually do the argument, the argument with me. But they'll be like, "Oh boy, Mgtow is not a group, not an organization." No, we are, and that group and that organization replaces the family. It replaces all that bullshit over there. You get friends. You meet friends on the street; they become Mgtows. It places all that other garbage. And it's a truthful, honest program where we look at things truthfully and honestly. And we don't fall for the traps no more. And it's a brotherhood. And it's going to grow. But we got to get our theories correct. And that's all I got to say today. You guys have a great day. And most of all, thanks for being Mgtow. Mgtows.